Welcome to Real Estate Game Changers Radio, featuring real estate trendsetters and industry influencers, sharing tips and strategies to help home buyers and home sellers get the most out of their next real estate transaction. Now, here's your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram.
Well, hello, this is Suzanne Doyle-Ingram, your host of Real Estate Game Changers Radio, and I'm so excited today because we have a wonderful guest. His name is Rudy LaBrada, and he's been in real estate for more than 23 years. He's in Upland, California, and he is just the most wonderful guy. He's not just a real estate broker, he's a business owner, and he has quite an amazing family business with working with his sister and his niece and other people. And the interesting thing about Rudy is that he has a background in political finance, so we're going to be talking to him about that today a little bit too. Rudy is loyal, trustworthy, and a little bit silly and fun, and that's also what I like about him. And so he's also a best-selling author. So welcome to the show, Rudy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day. I know it's hard to catch you sometimes. Even arranging the interview is hard because you're so busy. But I want to start by talking about how you got into the real estate business, because your background is fascinating.
I was originally through college and after college in politics, as you said, and decided it was time for a change or a career change in my early 20s. And my sister and brother-in-law were in real estate, and I figured, hey, if they could do it, so could I. Mm-hmm. And I've always been fascinated by building homes, and as a kid I used to sit on the front stoop and draw pictures of houses and floor plans and stuff. And in fact, my social media director on Throwback Thursdays or whatever it is, Tuesdays, posts some of those old pictures that I happen to find of like floor plans of, 7-year-old Rudy, doing his thing. And so real estate's sort of always been in my blood, I think. Mm-hmm. And when I chose to make a move, that was sort of the obvious move to go to.
Right, right. And when you were working in politics, I know you did very, very well for yourself, but was it the hours that were too much, or why did you decide to make the change?
It was several things. It was the hours. I was young and had a lot of energy, but knew that in due time the energy would probably run its course. Mm-hmm. And also I was in political finance, and back then they were starting to change the political finance rules, which would make it more difficult for, a young buck like me to sort of be a superstar in that era of politics. Okay. And so I decided it was, again, you go out at the top, and I was pretty much at the height at the age of 26, surprisingly, and just sort of left it.
Yeah. And didn't you I remember reading something about you where it said you got sort of chosen to go into real estate by one of your college professors or something like that?
Well, as I remember it, political science was my minor, and I had done a paper, and the professor wrote on the paper, "Come and see me," and that generally is never a good sign. Oh. I went to go see him.
Right. Oh,
and
no.
he said, tell me a little bit about yourself. And, and so I did, and explained, what I thought I wanted to do at the time. Mm. And there was an assemblyman, who was running for a California state controller at the time, who was looking for an intern. And so he suggested that I go apply. And so I went and applied, and, was told that they didn't need an intern anymore because they'd found somebody. But, sit here and we'll talk to you anyways. Okay. And so, I ended up meeting with, them, and, they hired me. And, ultimately I think they unfilled it to fill it with me.
Wow.
Which was just, a nice compliment. And that was the beginning of my political career. He happened to win and become state controller, and ultimately became our governor. And then sort of had to resign. But that's beside the point. I was no longer with him at that point.
Right.
But yes, he did win the state controller's race, and because he won, then my political career took off, and I ended up doing what I did do.
Neat. Well, it sounds so fascinating to me, and just a completely different world from the business.
It's a completely different world,
yeah.
And back then in the late 80s, early 90s, it was a completely different world. I worked for some amazing people who were very good to me, and had an amazing time. In fact, one of my employers is still the California U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, neat. Oh, that's wonderful. That's so great.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the stories you could tell. But this show is
trust
about
me,
real estate. This show is about real estate. So let's talk about real estate. I want to know, because I know you love your career, I want to know, what is it that you love about being a realtor?
I think the best part about it is every day's different. I could wake up thinking I have no appointments today and I'm going to come home early and prune my roses and, all hell will break loose by, one phone call or, ultimately I'll end up scheduling myself and I walk at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. So, it's just a very different world. I also like the part of being able to tell people you got the house and then being able to hand over the keys. Those are sort of the two moments in this industry where even after so many years and selling as many houses as I sold, I still get a little bit of, a little teary in the eye. Those are the two best moments about being a real estate agent, is because people work so hard and generally fall in love with whatever it is they're buying, or see the potential in whatever it is they're buying, and to be able to be a part of that, is a really nice thing.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I can tell you really put your heart into it, and you love helping people.
I do, and I have some great clients, and a couple of not so great ones.
Well, I'm sure we all have that in every
exactly.
business. Yeah. So tell me more about the city that you work in, and what's so great about it? Why should someone move there?
Well, I'm basically in what we call the Inland Empire of Southern California. So we're about 45 minutes east of Los Angeles. And as I said, it's called the Inland Empire. My offices are in a city called Upland. But the cities that are sort of around here that people might recognize would be Claremont Colleges, which is where the cluster of Claremont Colleges are, Pomona, Ontario, Montclair, Rancho Cucamonga, which is probably more famous for being in a moving line than it is for being a large city. Fontana, which is where Kaiser Steel started years and years and years ago, and other sort of smaller cities. There's a huge job growth and sort of job availability out here. We have Ontario Airport, so therefore we have Federal Express, and we have UPS, and we have, DSL. We have some trucking hubs because we're, right off the 10 freeway, and some major banks, and Amazon just opened up one huge warehouse. They're about to open up another.
Oh, great.
The Home Shopping Network, HSN, I think, is, which I think, if it's the right one, or maybe QVC, which is currently located in Florida, is opening up a West Coast distribution center, and that'll actually be here in Ontario. So there's a lot of jobs. The schools are good. It's we're basically really 45 minutes from everywhere. Well, depending on traffic in California, but 45 minutes to an hour to the beach, to Disneyland, to the desert, to the mountains for skiing. For all of that. So it's a nice place to be in, a nice place to raise a family.
Wow. If I lived 45 minutes from Disneyland, I'd be there every weekend. I love that place.
It's amazing how many people I know that have season passes.
Oh, I would just love it. It's so funny. I mean, when I went to Disneyland with my 3 kids, possible, but I was happier than they were. I was like skipping down Main Street.
I just like to go and people watch.
I know. I bet.
And have a cocktail or two, but yeah. Mostly people watch.
That'd be so fun. That'd be so fun because you wouldn't have to like spend 12 hours there if you live 45 minutes away. You could just sort of pop in.
That's why a lot of people I know have the season passes. They literally go down there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
You know, and go on a couple rides or just sit around and watch people and then come home.
Go have an ice cream cone or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, getting back to real estate.
Sure.
So I know you help so many people and really you go above and beyond to help people. But if you had to say that you had a specialty, what would it be?
What would I think my specialty is in line with preparing not only buyers but sellers for the process. So with buyers, I do a needs wants. You know, what do you need? What do you have to have? What do you want? And there is a difference between a need and a want. What are deal killers? That sort of thing. So I really kind of get to know them because it's really a listening business. And if you listen, then you are showing them properties that have a higher probability that they'll, ultimately like and want to make an offer on. With sellers, I do sort of what I call a light staging. If it's, if they live in the house, I go through the house and literally tell them, put that away, put that away, put that away. Let's move your furniture around. I have a room in my office and a room in my house, filled with staging stuff. So pictures and candle holders and all, you name it, it's there. Mostly towels, though. I'm a big clean towel person.
Oh, my goodness.
Bathrooms.
So you do that yourself? You provide that for your clients?
Yeah. So if it's occupied, I sort of go through and say, okay, I'm going to bring in stuff now. Now don't touch this stuff. But it's going to make your house look awesome in pictures. Yeah. And then if it's a vacant property, then we go in with more stuff. Not furniture or heavy objects, but mostly just stuff to sort of give the house a warm sort of feeling.
It looks pretty.
So I guess, when you ask about what my specialty is, it's in the preparation. And if you do the preparation right, everything else will fall into place right.
Oh, that sounds great. And that's really nice because I don't know a lot of realtors that actually have a whole home in their house filled with pretty things to put in other people's homes.
Well, and it's not uncommon for me to sort of take pictures from my own kitchen, or as you talked about in my introduction, my sister does work for me, so I'll steal a thing or two from her house.
Oh, that's great.
We need something extra or more than what we have, just sort of in our repertoire of staging items.
Wow, it sounds like you just do whatever it takes to help your clients sell their home.
We try, and that basically maximizes the dollar. And really, with the house, with a female, most females know within the first 3 steps of walking in the house whether or not they're going to buy the house,
really
make an offer. And so I generally tend to focus on those 3 steps: what's the smell, what's the sight, what's the feel, what's the gut. With men, they're a little bit different. If they're married, the woman truly does make the decision, in my opinion. And they don't necessarily need to walk in the garage. They just need to sort of peek in and make sure that it exists.
Okay. So the men want the garage, and what do the women want?
Women want it's mostly sort of gut or instinct, in my opinion. It's smell, that gut instinct. It's do I see my family here? Do I see Thanksgiving? That standard stuff, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and what's my body telling me about this house? They either feel it or they don't feel it.
Good point. Yeah. I guess when you're with someone and she says, I'm going to put the Christmas tree right here, she wants to buy that house.
Yes. That's generally a fairly good indication that that when she made the first 3 steps, her gut told her this is it, and then the rest of the walkthrough is just her saying, yes, I've made the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if someone came to you, I want to ask you this. If someone came to you and and just sort of, let's say it was a new client, you've never worked with them before, but they were referred to you and they said, Rudy, I just got a job transfer. I need to sell my home quickly. What advice would you give them, or how would you help them?
Well, the first thing is sign these papers. So you need to get them signed up. And then it's a matter of doing what we just talked about. Let's get this house as quickly as possible ready for show.
Okay.
So, let's clean it up. Let's make it smell right. Let's clean, you clean the windows. And honestly, if somebody doesn't clean a house properly, I'll have it professionally cleaned at my own expense because I think it's that important.
Yeah.
So, selling your home quickly, it's back to what we just talked about. What's the gut instinct of the person walking in?
Yeah.
It's about making it smell right. It's about making it look right. And it's about being priced right.
Right.
And if you have all those things and all those things are in sync, it's going to move fairly quickly, especially in our market. This Inland Empire market tends to move fairly quickly.
Good. That's great. And I think the pricing is key too.
Pricing is key, and the other key is to get as many people in there as you can.
Yeah.
So you have to make it easy to show.
Right.
You have to, I have a network of real estate agents that I've known over the years that, we do email blasts and we do a lot of social media and, you talk it up, and basically try to get as many people in the door as possible.
Right, and that's where your marketing comes in because you have actually a social media person that works for you that does all that.
I do. Actually, she's also my niece, but she's not my social media director because she's my niece. She's my social media director because she's very, very good at what she does. She designed and implemented our website and maintains it. She handles our Facebook page, Instagram, all of that stuff, some of it which I know and some of it which I don't know.
And you don't, because
I'm a little older.
If you're a successful realtor that has a thriving business, you really don't have time to be tweeting and twittering and updating your Facebook and everything like that. I think it's great that you have someone that does that for you.
Yeah, and the other thing with me is that I'm also a small business owner. So, I have a staff, and so that makes it harder than if, like, I were to go work in sort of a larger real estate company and just sort of do my own thing. I mean, I worry about business licenses, and I worry about payroll, and I worry about making sure everybody's happy and everybody's on their game, and personalities are working, and all of those things come to play when, you have a team or when your business is actually, sort of a small business. And people calling in sick and dealing with insurance and all that kind of stuff. Exactly. Sure. There's a lot of that.
And, I think that one thing I know about you is that you have been around for a long time, and when the economic slump, let's say, happened in 2007, 2008, you stayed in business when a lot of other people went out of business. And I think that is a good example of what a fine businessman you are.
Thank you for that. And yes, that's true. I'm located in the downtown section of, it's like a little historical city, part of the city. And I think pre-slump, there were, let's just say at least 20 real estate offices down here. And by the end of it, I was sort of last man standing.
Wow.
But, it just sort of, it wasn't an easy time in my life.
Of course not.
My staff stuck with me, even though, I cut their hours and cut all the perks and, I did what I needed to do, to keep the LaBrada group alive. And it worked. Thankfully, knock on wood.
It did, but I think it shows your fiscal responsibility over the years as well, though.
Yes. I've never been one to sort of be to live higher than I should, or spend more than I should, or anything like that. I'm very good to my staff, I think. And to me, that's most important because they're really the ones that make me shine.
Yeah. Now, where do you think you got that work ethic from?
As a kid, I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, and he was an old steel worker at Bethlehem Steel, and he used to work nights and was home during the day. So when he wasn't sleeping as a young boy, I was always outside with him, and he would tell me stories, and he was a huge influence on me.
Oh,
but also both my father and my mother were entrepreneurs. My father had a machine shop, and my mother was a produce broker. So she was the intermediary between the farmer and the markets or bigger chain sort of restaurants. And so they both sort of taught my sister and I that entrepreneurial spirit. And that if you want to do anything, number one, you got to do it yourself. And number two, you're going to probably be more successful by putting all of your cards in you first before you put your cards in anybody else. Yeah,
good. That's great and really good advice.
Yeah.
Very, very good to know. I mean, you do need to rely on other people, but sometimes, you just got to get the job done. You got to do it yourself, right?
Well, and what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to fall, you're going to get dirty, you're going to dust yourself off, you're going to get up and do it all over again. And that's okay.
I know.
Completely fine. And I think that's what scares people the most about opening their own businesses or leaving the job they currently have for something else is that they don't want to fall. And the best advice I give somebody is it's okay to fall.
And you're not going to grow if you don't take risks.
Dust yourself off and keep going.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you look over your shoulder and see if anybody saw you. If nobody saw you, then great.
I meant to do that. Yeah. I was getting down to Funky Town, and now I'm back out. Absolutely, yeah. So sometimes when I'm interviewing people, I'm going to do a little pre-interview, and I say, have you ever won any awards? And people say, oh, yes, and they list them all. And you're kind of shy about this, but I know for a fact, because my researcher found out that you won an award for the top 250 Latino real estate agents in the country. But you don't seem to talk about it or brag about it at all.
That's accurate.
When was that?
That was in 2013 or 14.
Okay.
I'm not about accolades at all. My accolades are my clients coming back to me and my clients being thankful, and now sort of in this world of being transparent. My accolade is my client going on to some website and writing a review on me.
But
that's
I think that's pretty
what
amazing.
I enjoy.
To be top 250 Latino real estate agent in the entire country. So how did you find out about it?
They actually sent me basically a certificate, and then like a week later it was in a magazine, and they sent me a copy of the magazine.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just so weird to me, but okay. That's great. First off, their numbers, because they post, your name and what number you were, and I couldn't even tell you what number I was. I was like, lower, but still on the list. And then they say like how many transactions you do and how many millions of dollars worth of property that is. Yeah. And they were actually on the low side, but it was just odd to me where they're able to access that information.
Oh, I know. That is amazing, isn't it?
So, but that's Big Brother, and that's the world we live in. And, again, transparency. It's all out there if you just dig. I mean, you obviously found it.
Yeah. I did, exactly. So switching gears for a minute, I know you're quite involved with your family, and can you tell me how you're involved in your community as well?
Sure. In terms of the community stuff, again, I'm not sort of into accolades, but I'm a big dog person. So I'm the type of person that if there's a dog on the road, even if there's clients behind me or in my car, I will literally pull my car over and get that dog in my car. And I've been known to like continue showing properties with the dog, you know, some random dog in my car and the client. And then I go about trying to find the owner or, you know, getting it fixed and then trying to find a new forever home for it. There was a reality show years ago about some real estate agent. I think she was in Georgia, and she used to do that. She used to go get dogs, and then she would fix them up, and they all lived. I mean, she had like, you know, 30 of them living in her house.
Oh my goodness!
I can't. That part I couldn't do.
Yeah.
But I always said, I'm kind of her.
Yeah.
Sort of in a little bit, in a much smaller version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's sort of what I do to the community, and I'm, you know,
that's
sort of.
So good. I love dogs. Our little dog runs away sometimes, and I'm always so grateful when somebody, you know, finds them and picks them up and calls us because, you know, I just can't bear to think of what might happen, especially where I live in rural British Columbia, where there's bears and coyotes and everything. So now I have one last question for you because before we run out of time. So because the name of this show is Real Estate Game Changers, what makes Rudy LaBrada a real estate game changer?
I think what makes Rudy LaBrada a real estate game changer is that I do it differently. I don't see myself as a salesperson. I see myself as an educator who opens doors for people.
Good.
And so that goes back to what we talked about, the needs, wants, and the taking the time with my sellers to educate them about the process and what we're going to do and how it all works. It's about educating people, because people are smart enough to make their own decisions. And in this world of the internet, you know, they come to you with a wealth of knowledge, some of which you need to straighten out, and some of which you're like, oh, really? So I think where I sort of try to change things is by being an educator, number one, sort of a door opener, number two, and maybe a salesperson, number three.
I think so too. And you're really a matchmaker. You're matching people with the right homes and with I love the idea of needs versus wants because, you know, it depends on your budget. You're not going to get everything that you want, but what do you need, you know? And you know even better than they do sometimes what they need. Yeah,
generally I can sort of pick the house out and say, this is it.
Yeah.
And then say, I'm just going to show you one today. And they're like, just one today. Today.
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. Or sometimes they'll say, no, I don't want to see that one. I'll say, well, indulge me. Let's go anyways.
Yeah, and then they love it.
Like, oh.
Yeah, good. Well, because you know, it's so true. So true. So, Rudy, how can people contact you if they want to get a hold of you?
Sure. Well, they can contact me through my website, which is thelabradagroup.com, or my office phone number is 909-981-3500, extension 201. I'm on Facebook at the LaBrada Group. I'm on Instagram, I think, at the LaBrada Group as well. Or you could just Google me, Rudy LaBrada, and hundreds of things pop up.
Good, and it's all good.
It's kind of weird to say, just Google me.
I know.
But it's true. You could Google me and literally, you know, find out everything about me.
It's perfect. And when you have a good reputation, you can feel comfortable saying, just Google my name. That's what I say to people. Just Google my name. You'll find out everything there is to know about me.
Exactly.
And it's all good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I have
thank you for having
enjoyed this interview. It's just fantastic. And I think our listeners are just going to absolutely love it.
This has been another episode of Real Estate Game Changers Radio with your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram. To hear all episodes featuring our hand-picked real estate game changers, visit us online at www.realestategamechangersradio.com.